And here we are at the end. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 8, the final episode of season 1 of Fallout. So, it's been quite a ride. Full of mystery, full of action, full of intense drama, and a lot of shit going down. But this is only the end of the first season, because the second season is confirmed, and they're saying right now that they're trying to push it out as soon as possible. They're basically trying to get it done and released ASAP, which is good to hear. But also maybe a little concerning, because I'm hoping that this doesn't mean they're going to cut corners and try to rush it out just to, get more ratings and get more attention. I want it to be the best it can be, and sometimes that means taking more time. It's the same thing with like the One Piece live action. It's like I really want the next season of the One Piece live action, but I also want it to take its time to make it as good as it can be. Because if it tries to rush through it too quickly, then it's not going to be good. It's not going to it's just not going to work as well. So hopefully they manage to avoid that. That being said, with at least this season, we know we're going to get some questions answered. Other ones we probably won't. Excuse me. It's just a matter of which ones will get answered here. And I honestly have no clue. I don't know where this is going to finish out. But the big thing I'm hoping that we do cover is at least some of the mysteries with Vault 31. Because it's like we saw Norm head in there last episode, and I don't want that to be left off right now. I mean, obviously I want to see the stuff going on with Maximus, with Lucy, with the Ghoul, but that stuff is like small potatoes compared to the mystery of the Vault trifecta right now. That's the bigger thing I'm invested in. It's really weird too. It's like the series clearly paints Lucy as the main character, with Maximus and the Ghoul as the secondary main characters. Like Norm is after that. He's still a major character, but he's not painted to be as major as the others. Yet his story is probably the most interesting in this to me, and he's honestly my favorite character in this. Like, early on, I liked the Ghoul for obvious reasons, and I like Lucy. Maximus was never my favorite. He's just always kind of been there. But it's like Norm pretty quickly rose up for me, and in an unexpected manner too. It's just that he may not have like as loud and vibrant of a personality as other characters, but his moral compass, his like desire to find out the truth and everything, his just sense of like propriety in all of this just feels more interesting to me. It feels like it's better written and better acted and more exciting. And again, this is not taking away from any other part of this, but I think his story is just the best in this season, at least. Honestly, I do. And I mean, it's going to be different for like everyone who watches this. Obviously, you're going to have different views and opinions and different things you're watching for, etc., etc. Like a more hardcore fan of the Fallout series of games and all might have different views on this and might be more interested in a different storyline because of, their connection to the games. Like I've said before, I'm a more casual fan. So while I am not huge into the games, my like enjoyment of this comes mostly from its own merits and what it's doing as itself as its own rather than how it connects to the games. Excuse me. Though I do like seeing all the references to the games and all the things that connect to it and everything, because like has been pointed out, this series is canon to the games. It is canon to the story and everything. So I do like seeing all of that stuff still. It's just it's not my priority. It's not what I like to focus on. I'm trying to give it like its own. I'm trying to give it its. I'm trying to rate it by its own merits. I think that's the best way to go about anything. Like you can acknowledge like what how good or not it is as an adaptation, but even just an adaptation should still be able to stand on its own. Because even if it's not the best adaptation, if it's still a good series or movie or whatever else, then that's almost kind of more important. Like, you can say whatever you will about how it adapts the source material, but if it's good, it could change a lot of stuff and it's not going to be that big of a deal. When you adapt a work, the only thing that you really have to get right is the feeling of it. It has to still feel like the source material. It has to have that same vibe, that same kind of just general sense to it. For example, the One Piece live action, bring that back in again. There's a lot of differences, a lot of notable, big differences to the original manga and anime. But it still gets the vibe of the characters, the story, the adventurous nature. It just everything still feels so much like One Piece that the changes don't matter, even the changes that don't work. And there are some changes that are actually better, that actually make things better than in the original. But like I said, even the ones that don't, even the ones that are like not as good, it's acceptable because it still gets the vibe across and it's still on its own merits a good series. And you could say the same about other adaptations here and there, like The Last of Us. The Last of Us changes up quite a bit, adds quite a bit, but it's still amazing. Like the entire stuff with Bill in The Last of Us is entirely different in the series adaptation. They completely changed that. And yet, it's one of the most praised episodes of television in the last decade because of how well it was done. And yet, it almost completely deviates from the source material, but people don't care because it's good on its own merits. And so, going into this finale, I'm going on this big rant and everything because I want to make it clear that I'm not really worried about accuracy here. There's been some people complaining about, like, oh, the timelines and stuff, and it's like, just enjoy the series. It's not that big a deal. You don't have to worry about that. Honestly, I trust that they're going to have that figured out. I'm not worried about how this fits into the greater universe. I'm worried if it's a good show or not. and it still captures the right vibe. It still feels like a Fallout project. And in my eyes, it actively does. It super actively does. So, yeah. Um, that all being said, I think it's about time we get into this, basically, because I've wasted enough time already, but I want to see how this closes out for the season. We'll talk about what's going to replace this and all afterwards, but I want to see what this is going to, how this is going to close. So, that being said, before we get to that, I do want to real quick bring up that we have a lot of other great content to check out on this channel. Every Monday through Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions. And on Monday, we have YouTube or YouTube adjacent reactions as well. Shorts, specials, mini-series that just don't have enough episodes, all kinds of stuff like that. Of course, YouTube videos themselves too. Anything that doesn't quite fit into a full series or a movie reaction goes in that slot. And speaking of movie reactions, we have those every Saturday and Sunday. They're recorded earlier in the week, but they're uploaded on the weekend, just to make sure that every day has something going on in terms of reactions. And we have a couple of Let's Plays currently going on the channel as well. We have Spider-Man 2 every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Though if you're watching this reaction on the day it came out, this entire week has been Spider-Man week due to the anniversary of the character's debut. And so we've been putting up episodes every day. But normally it's every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And if you're new to the Let's Play, if you're just going to start checking it out, I will let you know that the first 9 parts, especially parts 5 through 9, do have some audio issues. It was my first time doing a capture card Let's Play. I had a lot to figure out with getting that set up. And so, especially when I did the recording for parts 5 through 9, some things messed up. I messed it up, I will admit. And because of that, it caused some audio desync issues. It's still mostly watchable. And once you reach part 10, all of that goes away. All of the issues are fixed and resolved for the rest of the Let's Play. I've got it figured out. I haven't had any issues since. So, most of the Let's Play will still be good. But we're also playing Anno Mutationum on Saturdays. This is a donation reward Let's Play for Matthew Vasquez. And if you want to learn how to donate for future Let's Plays on the channel, I would definitely suggest checking out the video on the channel titled June Double Reward Month from this year, 2024. If you need to find it, just do a search on the channel specifically and search up June Double Reward Month PS5. If you put all of that in the search on the channel, you should be able to find it no problem, and it'll tell you everything you need to know in regards to how to donate for a future PS5 Let's Play. That being said, I want to thank you so much for tuning in, as always, and let's get on with this reaction. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction because, yes, we redirect all of our reactions on this channel. I know you don't want to have to click those extra links just to watch the reaction, but you know how YouTube's copyright system can be. It's quite shitty. So to avoid any possible channel strikes or, God forbid, a channel termination, because I've dealt with that before, don't want to deal with it again, we push all of the reactions off to another site. But on the plus side, this does mean that all of you, yes, every single one of you, gets to see the full, unedited reaction completely free. No paywalls, no Patreon, and you don't even have to sync up your own copy. The episode will be right there in the reaction video for you to see, and I think that's pretty awesome because not every reaction channel is able to get away with that for various legit purposes. But I do pride myself on being one of those few that can get that done. And so, because of that, like I said, you're able to see all of it with no worries, no issues, and again, not even having to sync up your own copy. But after you watch the reaction, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will not only contain spoilers to the episode, but my general thoughts on the episode, the series, and maybe even some stuff related to the channel as well. And in the case of this video, you'll find out what's going to replace Fallout on the schedule moving forward. So, all of that being said, once again, and as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So yeah, it looks like Hank is headed to New Vegas, which means Lucy and the ghoul would be headed there too. Well, and Dogmeat. So at least part of next season is going to take place there. Norm is stuck in Vault 31, which we find out is literally just a cryo chamber for the leaders of Vault Tech, who came from the past and all. Which is interesting for a number of reasons, because we saw Betty, we saw Hank, we know Moldaver would have been one of them. We don't know about the ghoul's family. That was kept an interesting secret. He asked Hank about it. It's like, where's my family? It's like, he doesn't even know what happened to his family. Which is really interesting, because when the bomb started to drop, he rode off with his daughter. So what happened after that? I'm wondering. But this also means that the one woman, the current oh god, what is it called? Overseer of Vault 32. Or no, 33. 33? 32? Whichever one it is. I think it's 32, because I think 33 is the one that Lucy's from. But when they went to inhabit Vault 32, you know, after everything, and she was placed in charge, the eye patch, I can't think of her name at the moment. Lucy's friend. We find out that she was, we found out she was from Vault 31 too. Like, we were told that. And so that means she worked for Vault Tech in the past as well. Which is interesting in and of itself, because she's Lucy's best friend in the vault, right? I'm assuming Lucy grew up with her, meaning maybe she was the kid of another Vault Tech person and she was unfrozen to be friends with Lucy or something. But either way, we find out a lot of massive secrets here. We find out a lot of massive secrets, but not everything is revealed. And there's some notable surprises here too. Let's talk with some of the minor stuff first. First off, we find out that Dane apparently sabotaged themselves. They were afraid to actually go on this mission as Knight Titus's squire, and so they put the razor blades in their own boots. Provided what they're saying is correct, and I'm thinking it is. I think they're telling the truth about that. They sabotaged themselves because they were just too, you know, uneasy about going off. And now we're seeing that they're also too afraid to, even though they clearly want to, fight back against and speak out against the Brotherhood. It's clear that, like Maximus, they don't agree with the Brotherhood, that they're very much not siding with them, but they're also just, they just don't have hope. Like I said in the reaction, they don't have any hope that things can get better or that they'll be able to even escape in the first place. So they have no reason to even bother trying. While, like I said, Maximus has, meanwhile, a little too much hope to where he doesn't have any real critical thinking going on. So it's kind of the opposite problem. So let's move on to Maximus then. So Maximus in this is taken back to the Brotherhood, and he tries to spin the tale. It's like, this is the head, this is what I got and everything, this is what happened, Knight Titus died. And the leader of the Brotherhood is basically like, you're bullshitting. Let's kill you. But Dane manages to save Maximus's life with their loyalty. And so instead, he's taken in for further questioning. He tells the leader more about what's going on, and the leader's like, okay, well, we're going to start a new Brotherhood. Me and you are going to be at the top, because the Brotherhood's kind of a shell of its former self. It's not as glorious as it used to be. We're going to bring back that glory. And part of that includes, obviously, Maximus going on this attack against the New California Republic to get the head, because he kind of like panicked and told them, I can take you to the head. Which, that's not great. Because that led to a lot of death and a lot of destruction, and the New California Republic kind of falling. So that's lovely. They did manage to bring in the cold fusion. They did accomplish their goal. But I'll get to that. So the ghoul in this one is mostly tracking things until he gets to the New California Republic, in which at which point he confronts Hank and everything. He kind of fights against both sides. He's doing his own thing, and he of course demands, like I said before, Hank to tell him where his family is. But he lets Hank go because he wants to follow Hank. He wants to track him so that they can be led to the true leadership of things, which I guess is not in Vault 31, interestingly enough. I guess it's in New Vegas, we find out. Which kind of makes me want to give New Vegas another shot. I have it on Steam, and I believe I can play it on my PC. I just can't like stream or record it, because then if I'm using OBS at the same time, it takes up too much CPU and stuff, too much memory. And it slows everything down. But I believe I can play it on my own, so I might give it a chance again and try it again. See about playing it. I mean, I could possibly try to record it, but I'm already doing like PS5 gameplay stuff. I don't know if like I would be able to find the time really to bring that in as well. I just don't know how I would get that done. I mean, yeah, it's just I don't really see how that would work. And that's assuming if I even could get it to, work without lagging. I don't remember if it was a lag issue or if it was just like lack of interest that I stopped playing it, because I tried to play it before, I think on stream. It might have been a little of both. It might have been a little bit of lag, a little bit of other stuff. I don't know. But either way, I'll probably give it another shot. I'll probably give it one more shot. We'll see. Excuse me. But it's pretty interesting, and I'm curious to see where that ends up going. Norm, meanwhile, finds out the secrets of Vault 31, finding out that it's Vault Tech employee cryo vault, And it's not the first cryo vault we've seen in the franchise. I've mentioned previously in this reaction series that the vault in Fallout 4 was a cryo vault, where all the citizens who went into it were cryogenically frozen and everything. And your main character is the sole survivor of the vault. The one, because all the other cryo chambers fail, and all the citizens are like they die because of it. And of course, your wife is killed in front of you, or your husband, I guess, depending on which gender you play as. Um, and I guess you're not the sole survivor because there's Sean as well. Sean is taken from the vault by Kellogg. So there's that. So I guess you're not the sole survivor. Or was this... No, I think the sole survivor is the name of the Fallout 4 character. I think it's something else in Fallout 3. I think it's Fallout 4 that's the sole survivor. Yeah. But either way, that was a cryo vault as well. So this isn't an unprecedented idea. But it's really interesting. Let's talk about Moldaver next. And we're going to talk about, I guess, Moldaver and Lucy kind of back to back because they kind of go in hand. So Moldaver, obviously, we had already found out she was from the pre-war era. She was an employee at Vault Tech who just did not agree with them, was kind of secretly... I don't know if she was holding the meetings or if she was just part of them. But she was involved in these meetings that were talking about like anti-Vault Tech stuff and everything. And she presumably was cryo-frozen in Vault 31. As to how she escaped, it's kind of unclear. That much we don't quite know. But she presumably escaped and somehow got up to the surface at some point. Now, we also find out that her main goal in all of this has been to get this cold fusion core and provide limitless power to the surrounding area in California and where they're at. She wanted to provide this power for people in order to, you know, help people, basically. Help humanity and help things, you know, progress and get better. And that's very good of her. We find out that Moldaver's not a bad guy. Like, she's done some bad stuff, sure. But all in all, she's not a bad person. And we kind of, like, have some very direct confirmation of that here. So, she somehow escaped, and this season ends with her death, though. She gets fatally injured when the New California Republic is being attacked by the Brotherhood. And she does end up passing away holding what we can only presume is her lover's hand. It's very heavily implied. It's not directly stated, but very heavily implied that she and Rose were lovers. That after Rose had escaped to the surface, that she and Moldaver had gone together. And when we saw like these flashbacks of her with Lucy and everything on the surface, we saw Moldaver there too. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I'm going to mute this, but I want to see if I can find that and see if I can get like a little better of a feel for that scene. Because as I'm watching, I'm not going to like be pausing it constantly and everything. Oh, and I'm going to talk about the flashbacks with the ghoul and everything too, by the way. Here we are. I think I found it here. So yeah, we see the flashbacks here. We see her mom in the flashbacks. We see Moldaver come up and greet them, and then it kind of just pans to the city. But it does show Rose and Moldaver looking at each other, seemingly pretty happily. So it's like even there, like it's very much implied that Moldaver and her were together. And now it talks about the children being brought to the surface. So at the time, like Norm must have been a baby since Lucy was so young, which means Lucy and Norm are not as far away in age as like you might have thought, I guess. I don't think we see Norm during these flashbacks though. I don't think I saw I don't think I saw him at any point there. It mostly shows Lucy. Like here shows Lucy being led by her mother, who's still in the Vault Tech suit at that point. And then they go up to Moldaver, who's standing there smiling. But I don't think we ever see Norm at that moment. So, but either way, it's very heavily implied by quite a few things that Moldaver um, and Rose were a couple. Now, I'm kind of wondering if Moldaver may have been in the vault for a short time and that she defected initially and went to the surface. Maybe that's how she knew Rose originally. And that's how that's why Rose eventually decided to go to the surface too, to find her. And she took the kids and everything, and they found her. So maybe she was already acquainted with her at that point. I don't know if we're going to find out a lot more info on that next season, but I kind of would assume so. But that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it, that they were absolutely a couple, especially at the end where she grabs the hand of Rose's now corpse because Lucy Mercy killed her and says that we've done it and everything, which implies that this was Rose's dream too, providing this limitless energy. So it's very heavily implied they were a couple. And this very much shows through this flashback and through all these revelations how Hank and Vault-Tec are the bad guys. Though we knew Vault-Tec were the main villains of this entire franchise. That's not any big surprise. It's not any secret. Vault-Tec are the main villains of the entire franchise. That just always has been the case. But we see with the revelations that Hank and everyone in Vault 31 were part of Vault-Tec, it's like it goes with my previous statements in past episodes about like, oh, you can't trust Vault 31 and everything. It's like, oh yeah, you literally cannot trust a single person from Vault 31. Not a single one. Except, I guess, Moldaver. She's the only one that, from what we could tell, was trustworthy. And that's because she was, anti-Vault-Tec beforehand. So after that, I do want to talk about going into the Vault-Tec stuff with the flashbacks. So we see in the flashbacks that Cooper takes his wife into Vault-Tec, and initially he's going to leave and let it be, but his wife starts to find out about the bug, and so he decides to kind of go into Vault-Tec as well and like kind of poke around a bit without his wife knowing so he can get a better signal and find out what he can beforehand. Before she might find out and fix the bug, because he's curious at this point, because he's not trusting in Vault-Tec, which fair. So he goes in, he meets with Betty, actually, who we don't find out is Betty right away, but I kind of thought it was because the hairstyle was the same and she looked kind of like her, even though it was clearly a different actress. She was a younger version of her. They still made it look very much like her. And she's talking about like, oh, it's nice to meet you, and it's like, we have another employee here, Henry, who would like to meet you. And this is before it's revealed that Hank was part of Vault Tech and everything. But I was already kind of thinking that, especially when with the name Henry, because Hank is a shortened version of Henry. And so, like, when he came up, it wasn't that big of a surprise. But while Cooper is waiting, alone in the room, we get to hear the meeting between Vault Tech and these other big companies like Robco and whatnot. West Tech was there. We get to hear their meeting, and we find out that Vault Tech dropped the bombs. And I don't think I knew this. I don't think this is something that I knew from like Fallout 4 or the very little bit I've seen / played of Fallout 3 or New Vegas. And I don't think it's something I knew about from hearing people talk about this franchise either. It kind of came as a bit of a surprise to me. But at the same time, it's not a surprise. The idea that Vault Tech was the ones to drop the first bombs, that they were the ones to start it, or at least, at the very least, they were the ones to initiate the bombs being dropped to like coax someone else into doing it. But they were the ones. But Cooper's wife said we're gonna be the ones to drop the bombs, so I have to assume it was actually them who dropped the first bombs, probably, and then everything kind of spiraled out from there. And this was their goal in order to not only help with their bottom line and everything, but they wanted to basically create a new world that was only them. Hank even basically says this. It's like all of these different factions fighting and destroying each other. It's like, if we can get rid of those factions, then it's only us. It's a paradise. And it's like, this is horrifically fascist talk right here. But not a surprise in that matter. Excuse me. But yeah, so we see that Cooper's wife was fully in on this plan, that this is something she was hiding from Cooper. It was horrific and just blatantly evil. And it's really interesting because we don't see the fallout from this. We see when he meets Henry, but we don't see him confronting his wife about this, which obviously would have to mean he'd have to reveal he bugged her. And we have no idea what happened, like, up to the point of the party he was at when the bombs started dropping. We know he was with his daughter at the time, and we know they escaped, and like I said, we don't know what happened after that. They started riding away on the horse, but at that point, it's just like, we don't know where that went from there. We don't know what happened to his daughter. We don't know what happened to his wife, and apparently he doesn't know. For all we know, they could still be around. They could have been cryogenically frozen too. I mean, for all we know, they might be in Vault 31 right now. That is very much possible. But we don't know. And that's something we're probably going to find out in Season 2. So I'm very curious about that. Lucy finding all of this out and everything, it's like obviously a huge problem for her. And she almost kills her father, but she just can't like force herself to do it. She's just like too like devastated by all this being suddenly dropped on her, and she just isn't able to find the strength to be able to pull the trigger, which I get. I understand that that would be way too much, and that actually killing him there, even though she understands he deserves it at this point, it's just something she wouldn't be able to handle. However, she is able to end her mother's suffering. Having found out that this ghoul that was sitting in the room with them is her mother, and that she was turned into that after Hank bombed Shady Sands, which puts Hank and Vault-Tec not only behind her basically a death, and and everyone else there, but also he's the cause for Maximus's situation as well. So yeah, he's going to have to die. And I got some things right with my predictions and theories earlier in the series, earlier in these reactions. Like I had guessed that Hank was the one who bombed Shady Sands. I I didn't realize Hank and them and Vault 31 and everything was from the pre-war and all of that. That I hadn't guessed. And I was a little bit wrong about the surface stuff with Lucy. I had guessed that Lucy and maybe her brother were born on the surface, and that she wasn't actually Hank's daughter and everything. But that's incorrect. She was born in the vault. Her mother was a vault dweller, and she was just brought. She and it is stated that both of them, she and Norm, were brought to the surface by their mother, and that in order to take the kids back, because at that point he literally admits that he didn't think of her as his wife or their mother anymore. He just bombs the shit out of everything and takes the kids back down into the vault. So yeah, fun. Um, so everything kind of got like extremely fucked. The Brotherhood has seemingly taken over the base of the New California Republic, and Maximus is being given the credit for killing Moldaver, even though he didn't do shit. And he doesn't want this honor. And the only reason Dane hyped him up like that is because they're too afraid to do anything else. So he's kind of stuck in this, but it's pretty much stated that he's going to be promoted to a knight for this, which he already plans on leaving the Brotherhood and already plans on finding Lucy again, and Lucy wants to find him again. And so yeah, they're gonna reunite at some point in season 2. I just wonder how long it's gonna take for him to completely betray them, the Brotherhood, I mean. Hank has reached New Vegas by the end. We see the Ghoul, Dogmeat, and Lucy are on his trail. So we kind of get where everything ends off. Norm is stuck in Vault 31 because the overseer there, who may or may not be the former CEO of Vault-Tec, won't let him leave. So he's basically leaving him with the option. It's like, oh, you can cryogenically freeze yourself, or you're going to starve to death. Your choice. But I'm sure Norm's going to find another way out of the vault. The question is, when and if he does, is he going to confront Betty about this? What's going to happen at that point? A lot of questions. But I'm very excited to see more of this. I am very excited for season 2. This season was amazing. Like, easily one of the best video game adaptions, up there with The Last of Us, up there with the Sonic franchise, the live-action Sonic franchise. It's like, definitely like the best video game adaptations that we've had in terms of live action, or I guess otherwise. Though all of these ones are live action. Um, so yeah, I'm very very happy with how this turned out, and even just on its own merits, it's a great series. It's a fantastic series. But it is over, and that means we need to have a replacement. So, what is going to replace this on our Friday slot, joining in with My Adventures with Superman? Well, this is Friday is slots for Connie's choice. This is not donation reward slots. This is not first impression slots. Fridays are my choice. Shows that I just want to do that don't relate to any of those other kind of things. So I decided it's been quite a while. It's been almost a year and a half. Next month, it will have been a year and a half since I put Big City Greens on break. So I think it's a good enough time to get back to that. I've been wanting to get back to Big City Greens for a long time because I never meant for the break to be this long in the first place. It just kind of ended up happening. Like I've said before, there's just way too many shows that I want to watch and not enough time to get to everything. But we are going to get back to Big City Greens. We're going to continue right where we left off and go for as long as we end up going, however long that ends up being before we take another break. Whether or not we finish the season, I don't know. But we're going to see. I don't even remember how many episodes are in season 1 offhand. But I am excited to get back to it. There's a lot I love about that series, and it's been quite a while. So that's going to be coming next week. There's other stuff I definitely want to get back to as well. It's just this one was kind of like right at the top for me right now. Plus, after something like Fallout, I could use something a lot more fun and cutesy and stuff like that. Though it does have some, actual mature topics and stuff in it. It's still like, it's a nice cartoon that children can enjoy too. And is pretty episodic and whatnot. So, yeah, I think it's just a good replacement for this at the time being. But I'll talk more about that when we get to it next week. I do want to hear your thoughts though, so let me know your thoughts on this finale. Um, and like I said, I'm probably going to try to play Fallout New Vegas again. I don't know if it's going to be right away because I'm playing a lot right now. On top of the 2 things I'm doing for the channel, I'm also playing Super Mario RPG on my Switch currently. I'm playing through Cyberpunk 2077 on the PS5 just on my own time. It's like I'm just playing so goddamn much. It's like I don't really have time to add in another game, even if it's just on my own time right now. So, yeah. Probably wouldn't be getting to that right away. I guess, like, it wouldn't be quite the same as, like, with one of our PS5 donation rewards, but I guess if someone wanted to donate some money for me to play it, they could. It wouldn't be like you have to donate the amount to buy it, like with the PS5 ones, but you could donate some money and just have it like a regular donation on the channel. I guess that could happen, but again, I would have to check first to make sure it would even be possible, to make sure it wouldn't be like super laggy. So I would have to make sure on that first before anything. And it wouldn't have to be like perfect necessarily, but I just wouldn't want it like, super laggy. But it's a possibility, I guess. Either way, before we end this off, I do want to remind you all that we have a plethora of awesome content on this channel to check out. Every Monday through Friday, we have a bunch of great series reactions, and on Monday, we have YouTube, or at least YouTube adjacent reactions. Anything that doesn't quite fit into a full series or a movie reaction is there. And speaking of movie reactions, we have those every Saturday and Sunday. They're recorded earlier in the week but uploaded on the weekend. We're also currently going through a couple Let's Plays on the channel, like I mentioned. We have Spider-Man 2 every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, though if you are watching this on the week that this is being released, it is Spider-Man week to celebrate the character's debut all those years ago. So we have been putting up episodes every day. But normally they're every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And we're also playing through Anno Mutationum every Saturday. Anno Mutationum is one of those donation reward Let's Plays I talked about. This one specifically for Matthew Vasquez. So thank you as always, Matthew. It is a donation reward Let's Play, like I mentioned. And if you want to know how to donate for one of those, simply check out a video that is titled June Double Reward Month from this year. You can just go to the channel search and type in June Double Reward Month PS5, and it'll be right there, and it'll tell you everything you need to know regarding how to donate for that. So, all of that being said, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.